Cooking with Jesus was filmed in front of a live studio audience.
Hello and happy Thanksgiving and welcome back to our new exciting episode of Cooking with Jesus. Today is our second episode and it's going to be our Thanksgiving special. We're actually doing another leisure activity type of video for a class as well, so there's going to be 3 versions of this video, just like the poem one. Today's video, I'm with my grandma. Actually will be teaching me how to cook a turkey. I've had no experience in cooking this. Actually, I don't think I've cooked that much in terms of Thanksgiving, so
First time.
a lot of pressure in regards to cooking this meal, but hopefully everything turns out very well. She's gonna be teaching us every step that we can take right there when it comes to cooking, stuffing, and everything in regards to the turkey. So with that being said, hopefully you find this video very educational, interesting, and exciting. Maybe you can watch this during your Thanksgiving, who knows? So with that being said, let's get started. So our first step is to cut the vegetables that we're gonna be stuffing into the turkey.
And this is the audio segment of the video. Here to add a little bit of context, this entire video as of editing right now is around 90 minutes, so a little over an hour. So I'm going to condense it by adding a bit of commentary and just essentially what I am doing in this video. That way it does not go way too long. As for this segment, we are going to be cutting some onions, celery, just vegetables that will be used for the stuffing altogether. And then we will go following into the next step. As for how I am doing this, I am currently chopping the onions. I'm also crying chopping the onions. In case you did not know, onions can make your eyes very, very watery. My grandma is helping me in terms of giving me the instructions of how to properly cook the turkey. I am clearly the one that is more presenting today's episode. She was very graciously eager and able to help me out in terms of how to make the turkey. However, in terms of just the whole video process, it's a little bit more of a learning curve. But we got through it as much as we continue to cook the turkey altogether. But in terms of this right here, as you can see, I am currently cutting the celery. The onion is still leaving its mark on my eye. But overall, the entire process is just me chopping the celery, and eventually we will be continuing to the next step.
So we're also cooking some steak at the moment.
No, I said steamed hams.
I'm gonna put some butter. Le corto. To make it melt a lot more quicker, we're gonna cut it into small bits. Cut it into 2. Moving it around.
All right, it looks like we entered our second voice audio segment of the video. So what are we doing exactly at this part of the video? Well, as mentioned, we have just gotten our steamed hams, and now we have cut some butter, and we are stirring that up right there just to give it a little bit of that buttery type of vibe. Obviously, in terms of where we're going to put our stuffing and our vegetables, which perfectly makes sense, as we are going to now add all of the vegetables that we just chopped in, as well as a couple more ingredients. So make sure to leave your onions here, your celery, and make sure to keep stirring. You have to keep stirring just to make that all go everywhere and just kind of make everything more even. It ends up, it's just overall much more better for the overall flavor that you're going to give it. If you just leave it all on one side, it's not going to be good. Nothing's really going to be cooked right there. You're going to leave a couple areas that were cooked, a couple areas that were uneven. So make sure to keep spreading it. We're going to add some black pepper as well, because that is definitely needed as well, just to give it that flavor. And as we're going to keep going, we're going to eventually also start adding some more vegetables that are going to just overall be used again for the stuffing. And honestly, we're going to see how the final product is. I've never had stuffing before. I'm going to admit that, yes. Anytime that it was Thanksgiving, I would go for the ham. I would go for the turkey as well, but like the turkey meat. I wouldn't go for the stuffing. I'm a big fan of mashed potatoes, which leads me to the question, what is your favorite Thanksgiving dish? For me, it's got to be either mashed potatoes with mac and cheese. No, ham. I also really absolutely love ham. Yes, turkey's good, but ham just always has like a little soft, no, just like it's my favorite. I just gotta say, to me, yeah, that's my favorite right there. But yeah, I would also say that I think that Thanksgiving is just a very underrated type of holiday. Everybody constantly looks forward to Halloween or Christmas or the holidays and everything in that sense, whatever you may be celebrating. But Thanksgiving just kind of doesn't get the love that it deserves. Granted, it does have a bit of controversy, but despite that, I just gotta say, I do love the holiday. I love spending time with family, just kind of having a dish and everything. It's like Christmas 0.5 or 1.0, like before the main, like it's like an appetizer, which is funny considering we're dealing with food. Also, as you saw in the video, make sure to add some garlic into it, as well as some pollo or some chicken right there type of powder that you're going to be including in your dish. Chicken flavored bouillon, that's what you're going to want to add. You're going to want to add that. We're going to add some garlic. Now we're going to add some cornbread. We're just going to keep mixing this up, and this is incredibly important. Make sure to keep stirring. Do not stop stirring. Again, this is going to help everything be cooked even. If you do not stir enough, you're going to leave some areas that are just not cooked that well. So just keep stirring and just make sure that once everything looks very nice, try it out, you know, get a spoon, get something right there. Obviously, don't contaminate the entire thing, but just, you know, take a little taste to see if it's ready. And once it's ready, we'll go down to the next step. But we're not done there. No. We still have a couple more ingredients to add. We also have to add some cranberry juice. Yes, cranberry juice. We're gonna add a large portion right there, about half of the whole gallon right there that we just used right there. I do not know the specifics. I should have gotten the specifics for that one, but we were just kind of eyeballing it. It's around half of that bottle right there that you just saw. But yeah, just remember to keep stirring, keep doing that until eventually it is nice and ready. We're gonna also add some apple slices in there, but don't worry, after all that, just keep stirring and no more ingredients need to be added. So remember, vegetables, apple slices, some cranberry juice, cornbread, chicken flavored bouillon, our onions, some garlic, celery, and a lot of vegetables. But at the end, let's finally test it out. How does our stuffing taste?
Very good.
We did it! We did it! Oh yeah!
So we've now completed the stuffing, and now we are about to just cover this entire turkey with the stuffing.
To properly stuff a turkey, you're essentially grabbing the rear kind of end of the turkey, or wherever there's a hole. From there, you're gonna grab your stuffing, and you're just gonna stuff the turkey, hence the name stuffing. Now you're gonna wanna go in and just add all these vegetables and everything right there, right into the turkey until it quite literally just gets stuffed and you can't add any more.
We're just gonna drench this entire turkey right here with butter. It's going in the oven, so might as well make it look nice and buttery.
Resuming as we keep buttering the turkey, I have to give some advice, but when it comes to stuffing your turkey, make sure to push as much stuffing as you can deep inside the turkey. If you just end up tossing in as much stuffing as you can, but you don't push it in, you're not going to get as much stuffing as you could have in that turkey. So if you push it, you push the stuffing deeper in the turkey, leaving more room to add more stuffing, overall getting a better experience. As you can see, after we've buttered the turkey, we are now placing it in a bag, a plastic bag. And despite having butterfingers, make sure to also zip tie it right there, making sure that there's no air or anything that really goes through or out of that bag. And from there, move the turkey into the tinfoil container. Make sure to wrap the turkey with tinfoil as you're gonna get prepared to put it into the oven. Overall, this is just used as well just as a matter of protecting the turkey, but this is used as a way to trap the steam, essentially making the turkey moist as we have it in the oven, and it's overall just better used to roast it much more
so now that
better.
we've stuffed our turkey, we have it wrapped up and ready. We are going to put it in the stove. We still have about 20 minutes once it's getting ready, but you're going to want to have it at 375 degrees. From there, we're going to put it to the stove, and then after that, it should be ready. It's all bagged up, buttered, stuffed, and everything in that sense, so we'll see how the final product turns out right after this. Alright, so the entire process actually began at 12, so this actual leisure activity ended up right now actually lasting about an hour, but we're not even done yet because we have to leave this turkey right now in the oven for about 3 hours. It's 1:11 right now, so at 4:11 it should be ready to be taken out. It has to be in the oven for 3 hours. I have my gloves, my mittens right here that we're going to be wearing, and now, come with me. Alright, so now here's our turkey, which is now inside the oven, and we'll be back in 3 hours to see how the final product turns out with the whole main meal. Whilst we're waiting for the turkey to get ready, I figured now would be the perfect time to have a little bit of a mid-segue where we answer a few questions given by my professor surrounding this leisure activity, which is, of course, how to make a turkey. Now, this is actually filmed after the entire turkey process has been completed, but I just figured it would be perfect to have it right here, just to answer some questions as a little break in between the entire cooking process. But if you want to be sent straight back to the cooking process, head to this time step and you'll be sent straight to the next step in how to cook a turkey. But with that being said, let's go answer some questions. So, in regards to the name of the activity, it's of course how to cook a turkey. The date completed was on Thanksgiving this this year, 2023, on Thursday, November 23rd. Now, in terms of how long this entire process took, it definitely was more than 45 minutes to an hour. But if we're talking about specifics, it could have been anywhere from starting at 12:10 p.m. all the way to 1:11 p.m. when we did the entire stuffing process and everything, which took about 1 hour and a minute. But if we're including the entire process, such as waiting, getting the turkey out, and cutting it, that took place at around 5:31 p.m., making the entire process be about 5 hours, or more specifically 4 hours and 59 minutes. But you can round it to 5 hours. And in terms of how much experience I had with this activity, it was none. I have never actually cooked a turkey, and in terms of Thanksgiving, I've helped around, but I've never had to deal with something as big as this. So this was a completely new experience for me. Now, if you remember in the first leisure activity that we had, which was how to write a poem, in the terms of what types of intelligence it landed on musical, existential, interpersonal, linguistic, and interpersonal. And in terms of the wellness wheel, it landed on emotional, occupational, intellectual, social, and spiritual. When delving into what type of wellness wheel area this lands on, or what type of intelligence this activity also lands on, you may remember that in our first leisure activity, being how to write a poem, the type of intelligence that we landed on was musical, existential, intrapersonal, interpersonal, and linguistic. And in terms of the wellness wheel, it landed on emotional, occupational, intellectual, social, and spiritual. So in terms of this activity, where exactly does it land? Does it cross over some of the same traits, or is it completely new? Let's find out. Right off the bat, we can definitely see that in terms of the wellness wheel, this activity does fall under physical. There's a lot of cutting going on, a lot of moving things over. You're definitely using your entire body when it comes to cooking. Finances don't really play a part into this. In terms of intellectual, it can definitely fall under this area. After all, if you enjoy learning new skills and information, maybe even learning a recipe for instance, this definitely does fall under that area. And unless you're cutting onions, it really does not fall under the emotional trait. Yes, you can be really passionate about cooking, but it doesn't really fall into this trait specifically. Now, cooking can be very much a very social activity. You can also cook by yourself, so you can decide whether either or you want to add it. In this case, it definitely was social, as I was with my grandma, and we were both interacting when it came to cooking, as she was teaching me at times. And this activity does not fall under spiritual. So in terms of this activity, it can definitely be made clear that it's definitely a physical, social, and intellectual activity, with social and intellectual traits being two of the same traits from the previous leisure activity. I've come back to this activity as well. When it comes to types of intelligence, this does not fall under naturalistic, and while there's an elegance to cooking, it doesn't fall under musical, nor logical, mathematical, or existential. As this is also a social experience, you could also say that since you're interacting with others, this is very interpersonal, and because this can also be a very solo activity, you can also argue that it can be very intrapersonal. As well as bodily kinetic, as you are interacting a lot with the food and moving around and using your body for all sorts of activities. And it can also be a very spatial intelligence as well, as you have to visualize what you're cooking, where you're going, and everything in a more 3D sense. So very different compared to our first leisure activity, with the only two traits coming back being very intrapersonal and very interpersonal. The next question is, where does this fall in the Nash pyramid? The Nash pyramid, of course, including the different factors of how safe an activity is, how active you are in that activity. So whilst this does not obviously fall under Sub-Zero, it's not an act performed against society, nor an injury of self, therefore not being zero. I would say it's not level 1, as it's not just entertainment or amusement that I'm watching. It's not level 2, as I'm not just having an emotional participation in whatever I'm watching, but it's also not level 4. I'm not creating participation. I'm not coming up with the idea and dictating where it should go. I mean, yes, this is a video that I am describing and directing in the sense of how to make it, but honestly, I'm just listening to the steps that my grandma's giving me and following each step in regards to how to cook a turkey. Therefore, the correct tier that I would be in is level 3, which is active participation, as I'm copying the model or playing the part of knowing how to cook a turkey and giving these steps, making that level fit perfectly in regards to this activity. Now, following flow theory, I'm very pleased to announce that I actually do believe that I just flew through this entire experience. I didn't experience no anxiety or boredom, to be honest. And I think, honestly, given the fact that I was filming this video, it was Thanksgiving and everything just seemed so perfect in my mind, everything just kind of went by smoothly. Now, in order to properly flow, you have to have all of these traits. You can't be missing one. So what are these traits that you may be asking? Well, if you remember, flow theory requires you to balance between challenge and skill. Whilst there was definitely a bit of a challenge in learning how to cook a turkey, I would say that I definitely did flow a little bit through it right there and had a bit more skill as time went on. In terms of action awareness, I was completely just absorbed with the activity of each step that we were doing and taking when it came to cooking the turkey. There was a clear goal in mind, whether it was how this video was going to turn out, how the turkey was going to turn out, and there was no real doubt ever really present. There was a clear goal in mind, whether it was making this video or cooking the turkey, and there was no real doubt ever really present. When it came to feedback, it was quite simple. Since I was cooking the turkey, each step really gave out some sense of feedback, and every step was important when it came to making the turkey, whether it was cutting the vegetables, making the stuffing, or stuffing the turkey and putting it in the oven. Each step
held its own purpose and gave me feedback as well. I was concentrated at the event in hand and was completely absorbed throughout the entire experience. And I also felt like I had a sense of control. I never felt like things were going too out of place, or that the turkey was getting messed up, or that something was getting really ruined. And also I think there was a loss of self-consciousness. There was no real worry. Maybe in the beginning it was a little bit of an adjustment period, but honestly, it's such a small, minute factor that I honestly cannot really count it as something that disturbed the entire experience. Just getting back in the rhythm, you know? And in terms of time distortion, I will actually say I think I did experience this, because once I saw that it had been already an hour from cutting the vegetables, making the stuffing, and stuffing the turkey, looking at the clock and seeing that it's 1:11, I was genuinely a bit surprised. And I would say it was definitely a very Autelic experience, where doing the activity definitely was a reward. I wouldn't say that I felt really pressured to do this. And again, it may have been just because it was Thanksgiving. Everything just felt perfect and landed perfectly, I'm happy to say. So in the end, I'm happy to say that in regards to flow theory, I did definitely flow. And now a few more questions. I would say that before the event, there was a bit of an anticipation given. No real anxiety, as mentioned. During the event, I was very much in flow, as already mentioned. But I definitely was just absorbed with the entire process. And afterwards, I was quite satisfied with how the turkey turned out. It was also very delicious. And I had a very happy Thanksgiving. I guess a fun fact that I learned is that when it comes to putting your turkey into the oven for a second time, once you broil it, that there is actually a mode in your oven that says broil for that exact reason. And that you can leave it high or you decided low, but it's definitely a preference that anyone can choose. I had a great time cooking this turkey, had a great time serving this turkey. I would definitely cook the turkey again next year. And the year after that, and so on and so forth. And as for any other interesting thoughts, I would say that I'm very surprised and very pleased at how this entire leisure activity turned out. If you remember in the last leisure activity, it definitely felt a little bit like a process. There was a whole lot of looking into the poems, and whilst it was fun, I don't think that there was a full concrete idea, I guess, throughout the entire thing, especially when it came to editing. I'll say that whilst I typically do enjoy editing that activity definitely was a little bit more of a chore, especially making 3 types of videos. And I would say it's because whilst I definitely did enjoy making a poem, in that sense, it definitely did feel a lot more like homework, I guess you can say. But with this, I don't know, it feels a little bit more different. Maybe with the flow, with how the activity overall turned out. But honestly, I'm just very pleased with how everything was. And maybe it was because actually this idea was a lot more concrete, but both activities definitely were very enjoyable, and I would do them both again. So with that being said, why don't we return back to the cooking process and see how that turkey is doing back in the oven. Alright, so it's been 3 hours. We're gonna go and check right now how the turkey is doing. And if you thought that we were already done now with the turkey and we can now just cut it and start eating it, you are kind of wrong. I'm sorry, but we are not done yet. Actually, what we still have to do is we remove it from the tin foil, remove it from the plastic, so make sure you get something sharp like a knife or scissors if you are able to do so. If not, get somebody with supervision that can actually help you with that. But you're going to want to free the turkey, and from there, you're going to broil it. By which you're just going to basically get all the juices and just really spread it around, just bathe the turkey in this broil, and then once you have completed that, make sure to put it back in the oven. Alright, now that we have all that done, we buttered it up, we're going to put it once again back into the oven. And it's really important to remember that after you put it all in, that you have your settings up here in broil. Make sure that it's in low temperature, low broil. You have it in low or high, either way. The important thing is you're gonna leave it there for about 10 minutes, and then afterwards it should be ready overall to be ready for your Thanksgiving meal. So we'll see you in 10 minutes and see how the final product turns out. So it's now been 10 minutes. We're gonna check on how our turkey is doing. It should be ready by now. Oh wow. Okay, so this is how our turkey ended up turning out. Quite perfect if you ask me. And now it's time to finally just cut our turkey and we can finally enjoy this beautiful turkey this Thanksgiving. Alright, well now that we have our turkey ready, we're gonna move it, getting ready to cut it. And from here, the instructions are quite clear. You simply unravel from the tin foil, free your turkey, and get ready to give it a nice cut as you enjoy your Thanksgiving meal. As you may have seen, you can also broil it a bit more, but ooh, doesn't that cut look delicious? So with that being said, now you know how to properly cook a turkey, and hopefully you can use this video next year to make your Thanksgiving extra special, and from our family to yours, happy Thanksgiving. Thank you so much to everybody who decided to tag along all the way to the very end of this video. I know we all had some fun, we all had some laughs. Once again, Cooking with Jesus was shot in front of a live audience. Remember to have a sunny day and happy Thanksgiving to everyone from here or whenever you watch this video down in the future. Thank you.